Today I'm going to show you how to set up a fish tank. So these will be similar to what you'll be setting up for classes, for your fish class that you'll be setting up at home. So what do you need? You will need a fish tank. So this fish tank actually has a lid and it also has an inbuilt light. It may be something as simple as just this glass fish tank. Right, you could use something like that, which is actually plastic. For the fish that we will be using here at CIT or that you'll be using at home, you may need to use a heater. So this is an inbuilt heater, so it's dropped into the water. You will need to have a filter, so you'll be supplied with this as well. This filter here is also an in-tank filter, or you may be supplied with an external filter, which will hang off the side of the tank like that. So it may be an external filter, or it may be an in-tank filter like this one. You will also be supplied with some gravel that you'll put down the bottom of your tank, some ornaments. Now the ornaments could be something that is just simple like a rock like this, or you may prefer something more like a combi van. Now this also allows fish to go inside and out, and depending on what kind of fish you have, that's a really good place for them to hide. Also what you'll need is some plants. So here we actually have both a plastic plant on a rock, but also a live plant. Now the plastic plant is there really just as decoration, plus it also allows the fish to swim through it and hide. Some fish like to hide a lot. The real plants here help to also keep the tank clean. So it could be something like this. It could be this one here is just tied onto a rock, and it is also a live plant. You will need to have buckets of water. Now the buckets of water that we have here have been sitting for at least 24-48 hours, and that actually gets rid of the chlorine that we actually have in our ACT water. So that is one way of doing it. If you are in a real hurry, you could use something like Water Ager, which I don't have on me right now, and that will take away the chlorine straight away. Also, what you will need once the tank is set up after a week or two is a testing kit. And I will go through the testing kit and how to use this in another video. I will also go through the different types of filters that you have also in another video. Today though, all we're doing is setting up a tank. So once you have all the equipment, you want to make sure that it is clean. You can't clean out any of your fish stuff with soapy water, as that will remain within either the gravel or on the tank or the filters, and it will actually kill the fish, and it will stop any of the good bacteria that we want growing in here that will remove a lot of the toxins that will develop within your fish tank. So clean it out just with hot water, okay? Gravel, you can clean that out with just water and get rid of any muck. Then spread it out on a sheet or something like that outside and put it in the sun. And that is a really good way of sterilising it without using any kind of disinfectant. You can scrub rocks, right, just with a brush and warm water. You don't need to use any other type of disinfectant or soap. So, first thing I want to do, so this is a brand new tank. It is nice and clean. The other thing I wanted to say is that this tank actually has an inbuilt light. So here you can see, right, you can turn it on and off. Now, this one, turning on and off is up here. This one here, there is no timer, but you could attach a timer to the power cord and put it on for a 12 light, 12 dark lighting, or even less depending on your fish. So, once you actually have your tank and it's all nice and clean, the first thing that you want to add to it is your gravel. So here I have already clean gravel that I prepared earlier, and that is plenty. We don't need a lot of gravel. The reason that we actually put gravel in here is because it's a substrate. So what it does is the bacteria in here will grow in there, and again the good bacteria will get rid of all the toxins that leftover food, the fish poo does, that will get rid of that and keep the tank nice and clean. This is just gravel. Depending again on what fish species you use, you could use very big rocks, you could use coloured gravel if that's what takes your fancy. So it's just there to cover just the bottom of it. Next, we can add a little bit of some of our ornaments in there. it up too much, okay? Because you want to still have room for the fish to swim in. Now the tanks that you will have, you're going to have a community fish tank, and that means that you'll have a number of different species of fish in here. All our species will be either top feeders, mid-range feeders, or bottom feeders, okay? If you have fish like angelfish, they like nice and really tall tanks with lots of tall plants in there so they can swim and hide in that. But for us, that's not what we need. So we don't want to put too many ornaments in there. So once we've actually added the rock, we may actually want to add, now you can add the plant now. If it's a plastic plant, definitely add it now. If it's a live plant, you may want to wait a couple of weeks with that so that with actually the water has cycled through. And I will talk about cycling through the water in another video, in another session. So look out for that one. But I'm going to put this one in here, okay? So just setting it in there. Now, this one here, I am going to use the internal filter, right? So it's going to be a submerged filter. And I will just plug this, push the plug through here, and then just attach it to the back of the tank. That will just sit on here. There does have little suction cups that will attach it on there. Excuse me. The other thing we will do is we will also add this heater. Now again, I'll need to put the plug through the hole here, which makes it all nice and clean and tidy. And I am going to probably put that a little bit further back here. Okay? So there we have all the things in there. We have gravel, we have our heater, and we have our filter. Now one really, really important thing is the filters, an internal filter, must stay submerged. If it comes out, you will burn the motor and destroy your filter. The same goes for the heater here. Now this heater here actually has a temperature control up the top. And you can, depending on what fish you have, some fish like it around 22, other fish that we actually have here like it around 28 to 30. So depending on what fish species you're going to be taking home, that will vary on what temperature you're going to have. So now, my tank is ready to be filled up with water. So, I have just got a couple of buckets of water here, and I'm just going to fill that up. This, and just do this very gently because otherwise you will destroy all your rocks and your gravel. So just now this water here, as I said, we have had in buckets for around about 3-4 days, and it's handy for you to have 2 buckets at home that once you use the water you fill it up, put a towel over the top of it just to keep it clean and no dust. And make sure that you always have some buckets ready for your plants, for your tank, sorry. So that's not enough, so I'm going to add another bucket of water here. Again, very, very slowly. Now that I've got some water in there, I don't have to be as slow. Right, so this is not enough, okay? I would actually need to fill this up with some more water, which I have right here. And I will just pop that up with a little bit more water because I need to make sure that the pump is underwater. There we are. So now my pump is underwater. It's always going to be a little bit cloudy when you first start like that. But once the pump and the filter is all in, so you only start the pump once you actually have water, okay? And then, I'm going to have to move this a little bit closer here, turn it on, just to check, and you can see that it's actually working here, okay? And so that's going to filter through. Now, that's all good. We've got that. Can't put fish in yet, okay? So if we put fish in here, the fish will die. So what we need to do is what we call cycle our tank. Okay, it's a nitrogen cycle, and that gets the tank ready and safe for you to put fish in. There are a number of ways of being able to do that. One is you could actually use fish in here, like goldfish. Very, very hardy, not good on the fish. You may get quite a few fish die, and ethically it's not the best way to go. Another way to go to start this bacterial thing is to put in a little bit of ammonia in here. So you get a little bottle of ammonia. Probably not the best way. One of the best ways is to add a little piece of meat. This does take a lot longer than another method that I will explain to you in a minute. So it could be just like a little bit of meat like this. You drop it in, and as this decays, it will actually produce a whole lot of different types of toxins like ammonia, nitrite, nitrates. And as the tank cycles, it will get rid of that. And I will explain that in more detail in the next video. So I will just drop this one in there, okay, and leave that for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then I might start testing it. And that will be using this test kit, which I said too, I will show you how to use this exactly in another video. Probably the best way of getting a tank started if you're in a hurry is to either use gravel that has been used in another tank that is already seeded with really good bacteria that will get rid of all the toxins. So don't wash it, you just add it in here. Plants that have already been used in another tank, or better still is to use a filter that actually has filters in there that have also been seeded with bacteria. And that way you may only need to wait a couple of days, test it before you'll be able to put fish in. So quite easy. Most important thing when you're setting this up is make sure that your filter is underwater, so you'll need to keep topping this up every couple of days because it evaporates. Your heater is also underwater, and that once you've dropped in the food and you leave it there for a few days or a couple of weeks, you can then start testing it. It may go quite cloudy as the bacteria start to grow, but eventually within about 2-3 weeks, it should actually clear up. And hopefully within 3 weeks, we should be able to eat your fish. Okay, so what we'll do is, when you watch this, we'll have a class and then you can ask any questions, an online class via the Adobe Connect, and you can ask any questions about how to set up a tank or if there's anything that you would worry about. Thanks.
Oh,